Have you ever wondered why some people seem to grow effortlessly, achieving success, staying fit, maintaining discipline, while others struggle to make even the smallest change? It's not luck. It's not talent. It's habits. And not just any habits. It's the small, daily, almost invisible ones, the atomic habits. Welcome to this journey of transformation. In today's video, we're diving deep into the ideas that changed millions of lives around the world. Ideas that teach us one profound truth. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. That line, by James Clear, captures the heart of this message. Because goals give us direction, but systems build momentum. When you wake up each morning and decide to make one small improvement, you're not just changing your actions, you're changing your identity. And that's where real transformation begins. Think about it. Every habit you build is like a tiny vote for the kind of person you want to become. When you exercise, even for 5 minutes, you're casting a vote for, I'm an active person. When you read one page of a book, you're casting a vote for, I'm a learner. When you meditate for just 2 minutes, you're casting a vote for, I'm calm and focused. The magic lies not in doing big things once in a while, but in doing small things consistently. Because small habits, when repeated over time, create massive results. But why do small habits matter so much? Because they compound just like money. Imagine improving by 1% every single day. That might not sound like much, but after 1 year, you'll be 37 times better than when you started. That's the math of compounding and the magic of persistence. Yet the opposite is also true. If you get 1% worse each day, the decline compounds too, and soon you're trapped in a downward spiral without realizing it. So the real question is not, how big are your goals? But, what small habits are you repeating every single day? Let's take a moment to reflect. Think about one small action you repeat daily, good or bad. It might be checking your phone the moment you wake up. It might be skipping your morning walk. It might be choosing fast food over something healthy. Each of these decisions might seem tiny, but together, they define the direction of your life. James Clear explains that habits work through a simple loop. Cue, craving, response, reward. Every habit starts with a cue, something that triggers your brain. Then comes the craving, the desire for change or relief. Then the response, which is the actual behavior. And finally, the reward, the satisfaction you get afterward. Let's see how this works in real life. Imagine you feel stressed. That's the cue. You crave relief. That's the craving. You grab your phone and scroll through social media. That's the response. You feel a little better. That's the reward. And now your brain learns, next time I'm stressed, do this again. Boom, another habit formed. But here's the good news. You can use this same pattern to build positive habits too. You just have to design it consciously. For example, if you want to start exercising, make the cue obvious. Lay out your workout clothes the night before. Make the craving attractive. Imagine how good you'll feel afterward. Make the response easy. Start with just 5 minutes. And make the reward satisfying. Track your progress or treat yourself to something small. That's how you take control of your habits, by designing them around your brain's natural process. And remember this, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. Because habits are not a finish line to cross. They're a lifestyle to live. The biggest mistake most people make is believing they lack motivation when, in reality, they lack clarity. You don't need more willpower. You need better systems. Every action you take is a vote for the person you wish to become. So if you want to become a writer, write even 1 sentence a day. If you want to become healthy, move even for a few minutes. If you want to become calm, breathe even for a moment. Each small action builds evidence for your identity, and identity is what sustains change. When James Clear talks about identity-based habits, he means this. Don't start by saying, I want to lose weight. Start by saying, I'm a healthy person. Don't say, I want to read more. Say, I'm a reader. Because when your actions align with your identity, habits become natural. It's no longer something you have to do. It becomes something you are. That's why successful people don't focus on outcomes. They focus on becoming the kind of person who achieves those outcomes naturally. And once you build that identity, the results will follow. Let's go even deeper. Think about your environment. You might believe your habits are shaped by your motivation, but in truth, they're shaped more by your surroundings. If you keep your phone next to your bed, you'll check it first thing in the morning. If you keep a book on your pillow, you'll probably read before sleep. The environment shapes behavior more than willpower ever can. So instead of fighting your environment, design it. Want to eat healthier? Keep fruits visible and junk food hidden. Want to study more? Keep your books on the desk and your phone in another room. Want to save money? Automate your savings so you don't have to rely on self-control. Because you don't have to be stronger, you just have to be smarter about how you design your surroundings. That's the secret behind sustainable success. Every small choice you make is like planting a seed. You may not see results instantly, but give it time, give it care, and it will grow into something meaningful. That's the quiet beauty of habits. They grow underground, silently shaping who you are, until one day, the change becomes visible to everyone. You might not notice progress today. You might not see change tomorrow. But every time you repeat a good habit, you are shaping your destiny in ways that your future self will thank you for. James Clear calls this the plateau of latent potential. It's that frustrating phase when you're putting in the effort, but the results haven't shown up yet. You go to the gym, but you don't see muscles. You start writing, but no one reads your work. You start saving money, but your account still looks small. Most people quit during this phase because they can't see the progress. But the truth is, progress was happening all along, it was just invisible. Think of it like melting an ice cube. At 25 degrees Fahrenheit, it's solid. At 26, still solid. 27, 28, 29, still nothing changes. But at 32 degrees, it begins to melt. Was it that last degree that did it? No, it was the slow accumulation of heat all along. That's how habits work. The most powerful changes happen quietly, beneath the surface. And one day, the results burst out. Suddenly, you're an overnight success. But in reality, that success was built through years of small, consistent actions. Now, let's talk about something that destroys habits: the craving for quick results. We live in a world of instant gratification. Fast food, fast entertainment, fast everything. But growth isn't fast. It's gradual. When you chase speed, you often lose direction. The key is patience, because consistency beats intensity every time. It's better to do one push-up every day than 20 push-ups once a month. It's better to write one page a day than to write a whole book once and never touch it again. Small daily wins build momentum, and momentum builds mastery. Now, here's something powerful. Your habits don't just change your actions, they change your beliefs. When you prove to yourself that you can stick to something, even for a week, your self-image begins to shift. You start believing, I can do this. And once that belief grows, your possibilities expand. That's why the goal of habit building isn't to achieve a single result. It's to become the kind of person who achieves results naturally. When you adopt this mindset, discipline stops feeling like punishment, it becomes power. You start realizing that habits are not restrictions. They're freedom. Freedom from procrastination, from guilt, from chaos. A structured life isn't boring. It's a foundation for creativity and peace. Let's bring this to real life. Imagine two people trying to get fit. One says, I'll work out when I feel motivated. The other says, I'll work out at 7 a.m. every day, no matter what. Who do you think wins after a year? Not the one with more motivation, but the one with more consistency. Motivation is temporary, but habits are permanent. If you rely on feeling inspired every day, you'll fail. But if you rely on your system, your routine, success becomes automatic. That's why James Clear says, you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Systems make success predictable. Without systems, even the best intentions fall apart. Let's look at another powerful idea from Atomic Habits: the 2-minute rule. When you start a new habit, make it so easy that you can't say no. Want to start reading? Read 1 page. Want to start meditating? Meditate for 2 minutes. Want to start exercising? Put on your workout shoes. The goal is not to do it all perfectly. The goal is to start. Because once you start, momentum takes over. It's like Newton's first law. An object in motion stays in motion. A person in action stays in action. So, instead of focusing on the perfect plan, focus on showing up. Because every time you show up, you're reinforcing your identity. And that identity becomes the anchor that keeps you consistent even when life gets hard. Remember this truth. You can't improve something you don't start. And you can't start something you never planned for. That's why you need habit stacking, one of the simplest yet most effective strategies from the book. Here's how it works. You take a habit you already do daily, and you stack a new one on top of it. For example, after I brush my teeth, I'll meditate for 2 minutes. After I pour my morning coffee, I'll write my to-do list. After I close my laptop at work, I'll tidy my desk. This method ties your new habit to an existing one, so it becomes part of your natural routine. You don't need to fight your brain. You simply guide it gently. Your brain loves patterns, it craves predictability. So give it a structure that serves you. Now let's talk about one of the biggest enemies of progress, the all-or-nothing mindset. Many people think, if I can't do it perfectly, why bother? But perfection is the enemy of progress. You don't need perfect effort, you need consistent effort. Missing one day won't ruin your habits, but missing 2 can start a new pattern of avoidance. So, if you ever fall off track, don't punish yourself. Just get back up immediately, forgive yourself fast, and return to the routine. Because every day you show up, you build resilience. Now let's go deeper into the psychology of habits. Your brain is a prediction machine, it's always trying to save energy. That's why habits are so powerful. Once your brain learns a pattern, it can run it automatically. Driving, brushing your teeth, checking your phone. All are habits. They don't require much energy because your brain has automated them. So, to build a new habit, you must make it simple and obvious. And to break a bad one, make it invisible and difficult. For example, if you want to watch less TV, unplug it or move the remote out of reach. If you want to eat fewer snacks, don't keep them at home. If you want to spend less time online, log out after every use. Habits thrive in convenience. So the key is to make good habits easy and bad habits hard. That's how you regain control of your life without relying on willpower. Because willpower is like a battery, it drains. But environment is like autopilot, it sustains. Now imagine this. You walk into your room and see your running shoes by the door, your workout clothes ready, and your playlist queued. You don't have to think. You just move. That's how good habits become automatic. When you remove friction, you remove resistance. And soon, what once felt like effort now feels like identity. You see, success is not about intensity. It's about consistency. And the reason most people fail is because they expect dramatic results too early. They want to lose 10 pounds in a week, double their income in a month, or master a skill in a few days. But mastery doesn't come from explosive effort. It comes from continuous repetition. Think about bamboo. For years, it grows underground, invisible to the human eye. You water it, nurture it, and see nothing. Then suddenly, in one season, it shoots up more than 80 feet tall. That's not magic. It's patience. It's quiet growth. Your habits work the same way. They grow silently until one day, everyone can see what you've been building all along. That's why you must learn to fall in love with the process, not the outcome. When you enjoy the process, you stay in the game long enough to see results. Success is not a goal. It's a system of habits that sustain progress. Now, let's talk about something deeply powerful, identity change. James Clear explains that the most effective way to change your habits is to focus not on what you want to achieve, but on who you want to become. When you shift from outcome-based goals to identity-based habits, everything changes. For example, if you tell yourself, I want to run a marathon, that's an outcome. But if you say, I'm a runner, that's identity. The first one requires constant motivation. The second one is effortless, it's who you are. So instead of asking, what do I want to achieve? Ask, who do I want to become? Do you want to become someone who learns every day? Then act like a learner. Do you want to become someone who's fit? Then act like a healthy person. Do you want to become someone who saves money? Then act like a wise planner. Every small action that aligns with your identity strengthens it. Every time you act according to your future self, you cast a vote for that version of you. And the more votes you cast, the more confident you become. That's the quiet revolution of habits. They transform your sense of self. Now, let's face it, life isn't always easy. Distractions, temptations, and failures are everywhere. So how do you stay on track? The answer: awareness and accountability. You can't change what you don't notice. So the first step is awareness. Observe your habits without judgment. Ask yourself, when do I usually lose focus? What triggers my bad habits? What environment brings out my best? Once you're aware, you can redesign your behavior. For accountability, surround yourself with people who embody the habits you want. Because environment isn't just physical, it's social. If you spend time with people who eat healthy, read books, or work hard, you'll naturally mirror their behavior. That's how powerful social influence is. You become like the people you spend the most time with. So choose wisely. Surround yourself with doers, learners, and dreamers, not complainers. Energy is contagious. Absorb the right kind. Now, another gem from Atomic Habits is the Goldilocks rule. It says that humans experience peak motivation when working on tasks that are just the right level of difficulty. Not too easy, not too hard. When something is too easy, you get bored. When it's too hard, you get discouraged. But when it's slightly challenging, just enough to stretch you, you enter a state of flow. That's where growth happens. That's where excellence is built. So always aim for that sweet spot, just beyond your comfort zone. That's how you stay motivated without burning out. Now let's talk about tracking progress. One of the best ways to stay consistent is to visualize your success. Could be a calendar where you mark every day you complete your habit. Could be a streak tracker app, or even a simple notebook. The goal is to make your progress visible, because when you see evidence of your effort, you reinforce your identity as someone who shows up. But be careful, don't become obsessed with perfection. If you miss a day, don't break the chain twice. Just restart the next day. Missing once is a mistake. Missing twice is a new pattern. That simple awareness will keep your momentum alive. Now, let's touch on something every achiever struggles with: bad habits. Breaking bad habits is not about stopping behavior, it's about replacing it. You can't just eliminate a craving, you must redirect it. If you're used to checking your phone for stimulation, replace it with reading or journaling. If you eat junk food when stressed, replace it with a short walk or breathing exercise. If you procrastinate, replace it with micro-actions. Just start with 2 minutes of the task. Your brain doesn't care about right or wrong, it cares about satisfaction. So give it a better reward for the same cue. That's how transformation happens, not by fighting yourself, but by guiding yourself. Remember, your habits aren't your enemy. They're your teachers. They show you what you truly value. If you scroll through your phone, find the emotion beneath the habit and replace it with a healthier way to meet that need. That's how you evolve consciously. Now here's something beautiful. Every time you improve your habits, you're not just changing your actions. You're rewriting your future. You're changing how you see yourself. You're changing how others see you. You're changing your destiny, one small habit at a time. Let that sink in. You are not behind in life. You're just one good habit away from a breakthrough. And remember, massive success isn't the result of one giant leap. It's the result of thousands of small steps done consistently. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. Just improve by 1% every day. That's the essence of Atomic Habits. Tiny changes, remarkable results. You see, success doesn't happen suddenly. It sneaks up on you quietly. It's the result of choices you make when no one's watching. It's what happens in the silence, in the small moments when you decide to do the right thing, even when it's not easy. Greatness isn't built on intensity, it's built on repetition. And the people you admire most? They're not superhuman. They're simply consistent. They've learned the power of small habits, the kind that don't impress anyone at first but create a ripple that turns into a wave over time. Think of a sculptor. Every strike of the chisel seems insignificant, but after hundreds of strikes, the masterpiece emerges. Each habit you perform is one of those strikes, shaping your life, your body, your mind, and your identity. That's the real art of living, crafting yourself through consistency. Now, let's be honest. The world will always test your habits. You'll face days of exhaustion, frustration, even failure. But that's when your system saves you. When your habits are strong, they carry you through the tough times. They become your autopilot, guiding you when motivation fades. Because motivation gets you started, but habits keep you going. And that's the reason James Clear's message resonates with millions of people. It's not about being perfect. It's about being better, a little better every day. Because the 1% improvement principle doesn't just apply to skills, it applies to life. If you're 1% kinder every day, your relationships transform. If you're 1% more focused every day, your career elevates. If you're 1% more disciplined every day, your future becomes unstoppable. And the beauty of compounding means that your small improvements will eventually multiply into extraordinary results. Let's make this practical. Take one area of your life, health, work, relationships, or learning, and apply this simple process. 1. Make it obvious. Set cues that trigger the behavior. 2. Make it attractive. Connect it with positive emotions. 3. Make it easy. Simplify the first step so much that you can't resist starting. 4. Make it satisfying. Reward yourself immediately after completing it. This is the framework behind every lasting habit: clear, simple, and profoundly effective. Now think of your current habits, good and bad. Which ones are taking you toward your goals? Which ones are pulling you away from the life you want? You don't need to fix everything at once. Start with one small change. Because when you master one habit, you prove to yourself that change is possible. And that belief will carry you forward to the next one. Let's imagine your future for a moment. A year from now, you wake up early with energy, not exhaustion. You read, exercise, or meditate without forcing yourself. You're focused at work, calmer under stress, and confident in your progress. People will ask, "What's your secret?" And you'll smile because you'll know it wasn't a secret, it was systems. It was small daily actions that no one noticed, but you repeated anyway. That's what changed everything. Let's pause and remember this. Success is the product of daily habits, not once-in-a-lifetime transformations. You don't need to change your life overnight. You just need to start. Even the smallest step forward is progress. So today, do one small thing that your future self will thank you for. Start that new habit or break the old one. Show up for yourself, even if it's just for 2 minutes. Because the person who shows up wins. And when you do that day after day, something magical happens. You become unstoppable. You'll start to realize that discipline is freedom. Habits are freedom. Systems are freedom. Because once your good habits are automatic, your life begins to flow. You'll no longer need to push yourself, you'll be pulled by your identity. That's the transformation James Clear wanted us to understand. Habits aren't about what you do. They're about who you become. So stop trying to change your results. Start changing your identity. Because the person who believes, "I am disciplined," becomes disciplined. The person who believes, "I am confident," becomes confident. And the person who believes, "I can change," changes everything. This is the power of atomic habits. Tiny changes that create remarkable results. And if you've listened this far, it means you're ready not for motivation, but for transformation. Because change doesn't start next year or next month. It starts today, with you. With one small decision, one new habit, one quiet act of faith in yourself. So don't wait for the perfect moment. Start small. Start now. And never underestimate the power of consistent effort. Because success isn't built in a day, it's built daily. If this video inspired you, don't just scroll away, take action. Pick one small habit you want to start today and tell yourself, "This is who I am." Then live it. Because transformation begins with identity, and the first step always matters. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this summary, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more motivational content just like this. And remember, Your future is built one small habit at a time. Stay disciplined, stay consistent, and keep becoming the person you were meant to be.